Hello everyone and welcome to this video. In today's video we're going to be reviewing Marvel vs Capcom 2 for the Sega Dreamcast. The game was originally released in 2000 and was produced and developed by Capcom. Is an old game like this, however, worth your time, especially in 2018? Well, let's have a look. The story is pretty simple. It's basically all the heroes and all the villains from across time and space have been brought together to fight each other and eventually the true known enemy known as Abyss. It's pretty simple and it works because basically it is just a beat 'em up. It doesn't need to have a complicated plot or complicated characters because it's just a fighting game and it's meant to be about fun. It's a good old fashioned fighting game that has a loose idea of a plot. And it's generally just about enjoying yourself without having to think too much or anything like that. I wish that Capcom had kept this train of thought throughout its later years and through later releases, as in other titles, because the game's plot is straightforward and it focuses on enjoyment rather than trying to force some silly story that isn't really needed upon the player. Now here's where the game really shines, its characters. You start off with a handful of characters, but as each playthrough goes, you gain points, and the more points you collect, the more characters you can unlock. And boy do you get a massive amount of characters to play as here, ranging from various Capcom titles such as Resident Evil and Strider, to the Marvel universe with X-Men and various others. It's a truly amazing mix of characters, and one that sadly hasn't been reproduced since by Capcom, which is a massive shame. In this game, there's around 56 characters in total, and they all have their own special moves and own abilities that make them all unique and special. Each one also handles very differently from each other, so when you're forming a team, you have to think about each character's weak and strong points, depending on who else you might be facing against. It really is amazing to see all these characters, and actually have them just be in the game itself, and not be some forced half-arsed DLC, which Capcom later did with late titles such as Marvel vs Capcom 3 and Infinity. I can honestly say that when it comes to the character roster in this game, it's one of the best out there. Even today in 2018, it still holds up amazingly well. The point is that while you have some well-known characters in this game, you also have some rather obscure ones as well. The point is that with all these characters, you're not going to be bored anytime soon, and you'll find ones that you'll really enjoy. Well, what can I say about the game's gameplay? It's a beat 'em up. So obviously lots of fighting. But wait, it doesn't end there. See, this fighting game is a special type of fighting game. Well, it was originally at the time when it was released. This game boasts new abilities such as aerial attacks and tagging in teammates, and it also hosts the ability to have support characters defend you when you're in a jam, by either using an attack or a heal ability or something else depending on what's available. I know this doesn't sound all that special, but back in the day when this game was released, it was an innovator, and it was one of the few games that tried to incorporate all of these features into one. Past previous titles such as X-Men vs Street Fighter and X-Men Children of the Atom, and the first Marvel vs Capcom game, they all tried to experiment with these features. However, in Marvel vs Capcom 2, it brings all of these features together, and a whole lot more. It really adds up into the gameplay and changes how you end up playing. The fact is that even in 2018, the gameplay of this game is amazing, and it really just shows how much the game is all about having fun. It's one of the few fighting games where practically everything is done right, and that's not something I can say about other games of today, such as Skullgirls for example, which is practically a total mess online because of cheaters who just hotkey special moves and ruin the experience. The gameplay is special, and even today in 2018 it holds up very well. It's a great game, and I'm sure that anyone who plays this for more than about 30 minutes will just instantly fall in love with the gameplay. The graphics for the game consist of 2D drawn characters placed onto a 3D rendered background. It's a bit different from the first Marvel vs Capcom game, which was a 2D character on a 2D rendered background, and honestly I do feel it is a big case of hit and miss on some stages. While the characters are beautifully well animated, I found that some of the 3D rendered stages just look rather bland or dull in comparison. In the first Marvel vs Capcom game, you had various other cameo characters making an appearance in the background, while in Marvel vs Capcom 2, you have stages such as the fairground level or the desert level, which just look plain and boring when compared to some of the levels from the first game. The backgrounds are nicely detailed, however, and they do all have animation to them, but they just don't feel that amazing in my opinion, as to what they should or could have been. The graphics do look beautiful in the game, and I do wish that this had stayed in the future releases such as Marvel vs Capcom 3, because when that was released the characters had been changed to a 3D character design on a 3D rendered background, and it's basically just gotten worse as the series has gone on. The graphics are great, all the animation is fluid, the backgrounds look okay, I just wish there was more of them, and even in today of 2018, the graphics do hold up amazingly well, and when I ran this on my TV at 1080, they still looked bloody brilliant. The world in which you battle in is vast, and Capcom did a great job creating the places in which you will do battling, such as the inside of a clock tower or the inside of a volcano. But oddly, considering the game has around 50 plus something characters, you would sort of expect more stages, yet oddly you only get around 14, or maybe one or two more that I possibly may have forgotten, but that's generally it. And for 50 something characters, I was at least expecting around 20 to 25 different stages, at the very least. Now you see, the problem with only having this many short stages is that it gets very old very fast. And with the environments, it does become quite tedious after a while. If you have just started the game and are looking to gain points in order to open up new characters, you start off and you keep seeing the same stages each playthrough, such as a circus level, or the same desert level, over and over again. It just becomes quite tedious. Some stages are the same stages as well, just with slightly different changes made to them, such as the environment is now daylight or it's now nighttime, and that's generally it. I'm not saying that the stages in the game are bad, just that I was hoping that there would be more of them. For 50 plus characters, I was hoping for at least 20 stages, not just around about 14. If you're wondering about buying the game, there is a slight problem, and that's that there's only a few ways in which you can do this now. One, if you already own a Dreamcast, then it's pretty much a no-brainer, because you'll already have this awesome title in your collection. And if not, it's quite cheap on eBay, and it only goes for around about 20 something. Option 2 is buying the game. Now you can get this on the Dreamcast fairly cheap now, and you can also get this on the PlayStation 2 and the original Xbox as well. They're not that expensive, they're just difficult to find in mint condition. This, however, is where your options start to run a little dry, because while the game was put on the marketplace online, it's now been taken offline from what I understand, and it currently isn't available. I'm not sure if this will change in the future, but I do hope it does, because at present you're limited to how you can actually enjoy the game or get to play it. I don't think everyone out there is going to actually own a Xbox console or a old PlayStation 2 or a actual Dreamcast, unless you're a collector of consoles. There is also another option, and that is playing it on your PC via an emulator such as Redream, No DLC, or Demuel. However, in order to do that, you're still going to need a copy of the game itself that you actually own, so you can create your own dump file from it. So this does require a little bit of work. Honestly, however, I do feel like it is worth it, because the game really is a special game, and it's better than most fighting games of today. It really does stand out among the crowd. Even of today, in 2018, it still holds up amazingly well. It's superior to Marvel vs Capcom 3, which was just plain awful. And unlike Marvel vs Capcom 3, you actually get the whole cast in this game that's available to you, without having to spend any money. And I'm sure that if gamers of today played this game, they would find that a breath of fresh air, because it's nice to have a company not basically give you the middle finger. If you don't play this game, then you're really missing out on something special, because this game really did matter when it first came out. And if anything, it shows today how games of today need to remember how games of yesterday were all about fun and enjoyment. Because with this game, you get everything in the game, and you don't get a half-assed roster and then told that you have to pay more for the rest. You don't get lied to by Capcom and then have to wait 6 months down the line for a special edition which is then released, and you then have to buy the whole game again, because reasons. It's a brilliant game, and I implore anyone to try this, because I know that just after 30 minutes, anyone will fall in love with this game. Everyone will fall in love with its characters, everyone will fall in love with its gameplay. It's just a brilliant game. I really wish that Capcom would see sense and release this game today on Steam, because I'm sure it would sell very, very well. It's a brilliant game, it's one you can't miss. Well, that's it for this review guys. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, and please subscribe.